the greatest agony a person could have from a craving. Is that pain actually tissue damage? No, it's not. Is it nerve damage? No. The mind is projecting it into the body and it's felt in the body. It's real pain. The experience of the pain is genuine. But the great thing about predicted pain is exquisitely sensitive to willingness. To open up willingly to the predicted pain disconfirms the whole prediction.
Before we get started, if you enjoy these episodes, you might want to check out more at OptimalWork.com. Our website offers unique content, tools, and exercises to help you thrive at work and beyond. We have an in-depth masterclass covering our entire theory of growth, daily recommendations for personalized advice, and a platform to help groups and organizations learn and practice optimal work together. You can get a free trial at OptimalWork.com. Now let's start the episode. Hey, this is Sharif here with another episode of the Optimal Work podcast, joined by Dr. Kevin Majeres. Kevin, good to be back with you after some time off here.
Yeah, Sharif, thanks for having me back. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, we were in the middle of a series when Christmas and New Year's came around. So we had to take a break, but now we're back to talk about the valleys and attractors and saddles. So I think, this is all relatively new in optimal work. So I think maybe people could benefit from a little bit of a refresher, and for those new to the Optimal Work podcast to get situated. So I think we should maybe just start with an overview of where we are here.
So the thing that I like about this framework is it distinguishes the different states that we can be in so clearly and shows us exactly what we need to do to make progress, no matter how we're feeling. And the idea is that vitality can be thought of as a deep valley that hopefully gets deeper and wider, so that eventually you can live there comfortably. And then there's you think of a ridge going up, and then it goes to another valley. And the other valley will be either anxiety or depression or addiction. Thinking of it for now just as if those are three separate valleys, because each person will tend predominantly towards one of those. And through repetition, the more people are essentially fighting and unwilling to experience, either the arousal that comes from anxiety, the more they hate it and struggle and desperately try to escape it, the deeper the anxiety valley gets. And with depression, the more they flee the tired feeling, the heaviness that can come, the adenosine that we've been talking about. The more they hate that, the more they flee it by withdrawing from things, and the deeper the depression valley gets. And with addiction, it's really they flee the dysphoria of the craving. And the more they hate the craving, the more they try not to have it, the more they end up giving into it as a way of escaping it. And the deeper the addiction valley gets. So then a person who's struggling, they could find themselves, say they're struggling with an addictive behavior. So sometimes it has zero pull on them whatsoever. Great. Maybe then they're in real life and doing things for people they love and doing things they love. And okay, they're in that vital valley. So things are easy. But there can be these times then where they're in between. They could tilt either back to vitality or they could tip into the addiction valley. That's what people call temptation. So temptation is simply a saddle point. It's just where you could tip either way. There it's going to be a little harder and so because they're going to be easily drawn in to the addicted valley, or they can reorient themselves back into vitality. Or they could actually, if they give in to the addiction and they're spiraling down, then they're going to be in the bottom of the addictive valley. We've been telling people that the signature move of vitality, what puts them back in vitality always, is to put love into willingly embracing a present challenge. And particularly when you're fighting something like anxiety, depression, addiction, it's putting love into willingly opening up to the present discomfort, because that's the real challenge. And so I'm really fascinated by these saddles, because I feel like so much of my work has been helping people precisely in saddle moments. And one of the great discoveries of the past series that we've been making, is that this part of the brain called the septum, that's the part that most associated with the heart, where love really resonates, where love for others can rule, but can also fall for kind of false loves. Um, the septum is the saddle. It can tip towards real bonds and real love, and that's vitality. Or it can get into some kind of threat mode where now it's being self-protective. And that's what leads people to actually fall into the vicious valleys. So the septum is the saddle. And when people are there at the saddle point where they could tip either way, it's because right now love has a kind of dilemma. It could go either self-giving and pursue real people and real bonds, real work, or self-preserving. And then it's going to be it's like a love of relief. It's going to be fleeing the discomfort. So that's the big overview where we are now.
So, Kevin, how are you defining love here in this sense? Because, maybe I would think just when love would be typically referring to loving other people, and then that would put you into vitality territory. But you're also using it in the sense of loving relief or loving things or something that puts you in one of these addiction or depression or
That's right.
Anxiety valleys. So, I guess, how are you using this term and how's it understood here?
So love is really the first activity of the soul responding to a good. And so if it's a true good, then you're going to have true love. And if it's a false good, it'll be a false love. But it's a response to a good. And so it has this desire for, that's the most fundamental thing, is that it's oriented toward the good. If the good is perceived as absent, then you have desire. And so you can actually derive, and Aquinas shows this, all the emotions that we experience are direct results of love. They're all somehow tied to love. And so we fear losing a thing we love, or we're sad over the loss of something we love, or, we have a craving for something we love that right now we're deprived of. So every emotion is actually love in some way. And you can see that all the negative emotions that constitute the vicious valleys are really a kind of love. But in a way, you could say it's love in threat mode. It's kind of being protective. It's being closed, actually. And so it's closed in on itself. It's closed to reality in a self-protective stance. And so the person who is most kind of fraught with anxiety is most desperate to protect themselves from these perceived threats. So so on with the other valleys. Somehow what they're perceiving as the threat somehow seems infinite. It seems intolerable, and they're trying to protect themselves from that.
So, basically all four valleys have at their core is love, but it's just how it's directed. Is it directed
That's exactly
towards
right.
a true good or a false good? Okay.
Yeah. So love is like the gravity that pulls you to either any valley. So love is the force. Love is the fundamental thing that determines. So so that means that love, it's not. It's interesting. But if you're, if an addict is being tempted, there is a love there that's pulling them. It's actually not so much the love of the thing. It's actually the love of the relief that they get. Maybe there's a love, because you think like if they're pursuing a sense of peace or transcendence or euphoria, those aren't necessarily bad in themselves, but the drug or behavior may be bad in the big picture. So there's some kind of limited good that they love, but really it's the relief that drives the vicious cycle. Is that there is this craving that they don't want to suffer endlessly. Or with the depressed people, there's a heaviness that they don't want to face endlessly. Or threats, if they're anxious, that they don't want to face endlessly. And so there's always this kind of, what really is the thing that they're attached to is the relief, not so much the primary thing.
So this is great. So then getting into saddle points, that's kind of the point where love has a choice of which direction it's going to go in, or you have a choice of what you're going to love, I suppose you would say. So, I mean, this seems super important especially for someone who's, setting a new goal in life or trying to achieve some, improvement or behavior change, like to think through in advance, what are the saddle points? So what are typical saddle points for people? And I think we've talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, but it might be good to lay it out exactly what these are, when they occur for people, and how should people, think about them, notice them. Like we've talked about waking up, and then starting a time of work. Those are crucial saddle points for people.
So saddle points are uh, not just big life events. It's good that we see them as daily recurring phenomena. That they're simply when we have a direction that we like. Our system needs direction right now. So we started OptimalWork with the idea of jumping out of bed. I think one of our earliest videos is 11 reasons to jump out of bed. And I guess now we're at this is like number 14 or 15. But the idea is that the moment you wake up is one of these saddle points, right? And if you shy away from the cost of the day, you'd close in on yourself and snooze, versus jumping out of bed and saying yes to the coming day, which entails this willingness to embrace whatever will come, to embrace what actually shows up. So even then, as you get out of bed, you can see that that's like a saddle. And if you jump out of bed the moment your alarm sounds, try to renew from the very first second of the day your desire to serve, your desire to love, right? That's the best way of tilting your whole day right from the start. So it's great to be looking ahead to the coming day as an opportunity to make a real offering, as a real service of love. So you can start your day with that kind of reflection, that kind of activity, right? And you would come out of it then already starting the day, moving towards vitality. Anytime you have a transition, so you're going to have a saddle. So that could be starting work, like when you first get to work, if you work outside the home. That first moment when you sit down, you could close in on yourself in some way and like seek. This is what happens when we procrastinate by watching YouTube videos.
We.
Yeah, sorry. I hope that wasn't too directed.
Okay.
Uh, no, I'm just joking. But whatever the thing is, scrolling the news or even spending too much time in email when we actually had some tasks that actually would have been a much better vital way of starting the day. So we have that choice when we sit down. Do we deliberately shape with love the work ahead, or do we somehow go on autopilot? And even just doing things to get them done is like I try to seeking kind of relief of completion. So saddles occur throughout the day. When you get interrupted, when you finish the day's work, when you arrive home, as after dinner and you're facing the evening. If you've ever worked with people who struggle with addictions, you'll see they only struggle with addictions at saddle points. It's really interesting. That it's going to be these transition moments, that end up capturing their attention. So so the saddle is when you could tip either way. When you're in the midst of time with friends and family, or a time of prayer, or a time of work, it's not a saddle point anymore. Generally speaking, you have a kind of momentum that's there. So saddles occur when there's no momentum continuing and you have to give a new momentum. That's another way of thinking of it.
Before we continue, a brief message. If you're benefiting from these discussions, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe. Doing so helps us to reach more people. So you're not just learning, you're also helping others to discover a path of growth and flourishing. Thanks for your support. This might never happen, actually, but I'm curious what you think of it. It seems like, well, some days you have more saddle points than others. And sometimes someone can have maybe a bad day for whatever reason, and they just kind of go through the day on autopilot or in tunnel vision. I think, um, this gets into like the cortex and attention and things like that. But what advice would you give someone who just feels like, well, I start the day poorly and it just goes that way the whole day? Is that not a real thing, or I guess is there a way to increase the number of saddle points that you do have?
Yeah, and so one thing that people can do is to try to get more movement, because movement will create saddles. So if you're kind of sitting at your desk all day and not moving for 8 hours, then I can see that it's going to feel like there's no saddles. Um, but if you could go on a 20-minute walk, or if you could get some physical exercise, even if you just did body squats on your chair at work or push-ups there, physical movement will naturally create in you then a sense of before and after. So, and then you're going to be flushed with a little bit of, adrenaline in the body, noradrenaline in the brain. You're going to be a little more alert. You'll have drained out some adenosine, and then you'll be kind of refreshed. Then you can actually tilt things a better way.
Yeah. I guess it probably happens more if there's something, I don't know, you're ruminating about, or there's something that's really occupying you mentally. So, and this gets into something that I know you wanted to talk about, of being trapped in your head versus getting into reality. So, yeah, I don't know if that's where you want to go with this.
Yeah, sure. We can. So when you're at the saddle point, you can you're going to be tempted to hyper focus on avoiding the perceived pain, right? That hyper focus could be like, you could experience it as the negative trance, as a kind of tunnel vision. Someone just described it to me, which I really liked, as an IMAX. That suddenly he's in an IMAX, and so there's this sense that whatever it's a total immersive experience as you're thinking about how awful the craving is, how heavy the work is, how terrible the threat is. Somehow those things loom so large in their mind that it becomes like an IMAX. Um, Now, I like the idea of the IMAX too, because it's a little bit like Plato's wall, in the cave, but it's not real. It's just images in their minds that are there. And in many ways, the solution, especially when you're at the saddle, if you want to tip the right way, is to open up your attention back to reality. So at the saddle points, you can tip to reality, which is be like mindfully engage the present moment. Or you get lost in unreality, in the IMAX in the mind. Uh, the other thing I really like about that is this pain that people are really fleeing. Like the more unwilling they are to feel the pain, the more they get kind of dragged into the corresponding valley. So the more unwilling you are to feel the discomfort of a craving, the more addiction pulls you in. Just take that as an example. Well, what that says is that, you're getting caught in something that is happening just within your mind. Now it's affecting your behavior, but everything is in your mind. The pain is in the mind. We've talked about this in past episodes, but there are different kinds of pain. And the primary kind of pain is from tissue damage. You stubbing your toe, breaking your toe. That's damaging tissue, and you feel real pain there. The other kind of pain is from nerve damage, which people with, different neurological diseases or diabetes, they can have neuropathy, and that can be painful. But the third kind of pain is predicted pain. It's actually generated, in a sense, by your mind. So when you perceive, think of how the greatest agony a person could have from a craving. Is that pain actually tissue damage? No, it's not. Is it nerve damage? No. The mind is projecting it into the body, and it's felt in the body. It's real pain. The experience of the pain is genuine. But the great thing about predicted pain is exquisitely sensitive to willingness. To open up willingly to the predicted pain disconfirms the whole prediction. Because now you're tuning in to the fact that there is no tissue damage there. There is nothing there actually that's it feels like a knot in the, or a clenching in the chest. When, and this is true for craving, it's true for depression, and it's true for anxiety. They feel like a clenching. Interesting, isn't it, that unwillingness always shows itself in clenching? And willingness is much more like opening up to. So when you try to open up and feel this pain of, say, the craving, it actually is exquisitely sensitive to that movement. And quickly, the pain of it subsides. So people get pulled into the addictive cycle precisely because they keep resisting experiencing this pain. But the moment they open up and welcome it, in fact, it starts subsiding. So at a saddle point, what the person needs to do is see they have a choice. They can bear this pain willingly, opening up to it as fully as they can, or they can try to escape it, which is going to leave them stuck in it more and more. But I wouldn't want people at a saddle point to think that the goal is to use willpower to push through the pain. Not at all. It has to be a victory of love. There has to be a love that is triumphing at the saddle. Love for something beyond yourself. So love for your family, for married people, love for their spouse, love for God. Love that gives people a reason to suffer this pain willingly. So that is the miracle, I think. When you can connect present suffering, which is actually the predicted pain that you're feeling in the chest, and you can willingly open up to that for the sake of staying true to love. That is the deepest victory. And at a saddle point, you'll feel the vitality come in. You'll start to feel that, okay, now I'm on the right path. And you keep on trying to embrace the next challenge with love and think about how to bring that love into your work.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound as an overview of it?
It sounds great. And it leads me to a very practical question, which I have, which is, for me, I think the saddle points that I experience most regularly are, I try to do golden hours diligently and, sprints and breaks through my work. And I do experience a saddle point at the start of a task. Like, okay, am I going to really dive in and do the first step, or am I going to try to put it off a little bit longer? But I would say for me, the main saddle point right now is when I finish the task, what do I do? And it's very easy for me to just like waste that time versus thinking about, okay, how can I spend this? It's a break, so I don't want to work, but I don't want to just like, dissipate my mind with meaningless stuff. So yeah, tell me what to do. Give me some orders here.
Yeah. Well, one thing would be, what would be the most refreshing break for the heart? If you ask that question, and say then, how do you use the break as its own kind of cardio exercise? So, and I would say anything that puts you in contact with those you love, that lets you spend time. It could be a time spent in meditation or some kind of prayer, even if it's only for a minute. But to kind of make contact again with what really matters. You have to think of refreshing meaning, right? And there are going to be things that you might want to do on a break that would be kind of just enjoyable and relaxing and stuff. And those are good. But delaying it just a little bit to put something meaningful first will actually give you a much better break. Now, this gets to this idea too, that in order, like, if you think of, you could think of love as a kind of fire, right? And so the fire has to be fed continually more wood to keep burning. Okay, so the wood is actually the cost. So that's the cost of the fire, is the wood you put into it. And so the wood is like, what are you going to throw into the fire to be burned. Um, there's always in us a little bit of unwillingness. That's a cost. There's some cost here that we're not willing to pay. But we can continually catch those moments and find little sacrifices to make, little things that is like a sacrifice done for love is actually like throwing wood on a fire, right? And so that's how you keep the fire going. Now this works in these little micro moments you're talking about, of like embracing, having like a really meaningful break entails a tiny little bit of sacrifice, but then it pays off a lot with more fire. And that fire then makes the next time at work even easier. So, but also is like if you're facing anxiety or depression or addiction, a person there has a cost that they have to pay. And when they're at the saddle point, that's the dilemma. Am I willing to pay the price? To stay true to love, to put bonds first, to put my growth first here. And that's going to be, the price is to willingly open up to the discomfort of the anxiety or the whatever, the discomfort is that they've been avoiding.
Yeah. So, okay, I have another question here. So we often talk about, getting things done, the mindset, worst mindset to have, when you're not the worst, but it's not that high. And then now what you're talking about is doing things for love, especially focused on bonds. One thing that I've encountered, especially recently, I'm working on the new version of the OptimalWork app, which is going to be awesome and a big revolution in a lot
It's
of ways.
incredible, I have to say. Yeah.
And one thing is just like, I'm excited to work on it and make it good. So, okay, now I can connect that to people who are going to use it and wanting to help them and give them, a delightful experience as they use it. And hopefully that all happens. But then there's also just this motivation, like, yeah, I want this to be good. I want to, improve this part and make it better. So is that okay? Can I keep doing that?
So, yeah, but what matters more, you or the app?
Yeah, the app. Oh,
no,
okay.
no. So, yeah. And so if the app is the outcome that you're after and you're just wanting it, then any difficulty that comes up is going to seem like it's an obstacle to fulfilling it. Versus if the app is really your gift of love to all the users, right? And this is like how you want to be generous with all the users. Then the more bugs you uncover, the better, because it's just going to make the experience better for the people. So there's going to be a sense that when we get stuck on outcomes and getting things done and deadlines and timelines, and sometimes that interferes with putting our heart in the task. I don't know, but it's just a human thing that when we're under pressure, even if it's purely internal pressure, because I can tell you, your coworkers aren't pressuring you at all to get this app done. So, I've literally never pressured you, have I?
Okay, yeah, sure, that's fine.
So it just means then, whatever is uncovered, whatever, the things, you should like rejoice in those moments. Okay, here's another thing to make right and to do it well. And so it's like, it shows in the obstacles. They seem like, what are there really obstacles? Or are they just opportunities to actually serve people even better? So when you have the end of the real people, and you know who our users are, and enough of our users that you can connect a face to it. So the thing about when you're at the saddle point is it's not enough to just reframe that this is good for me to grow. At the saddle point, the reframe has to have a face. It has to be that I'm doing this actually for love of persons, and or the person above all. But you're thinking of that you're doing it for love of someone, and so it's a bond related thing. And the right move at the saddle needs to be a victory for the bond. Not just pushing through with willpower. In that sense, the bond is like the fire, and these things are grown, by the price we're willing to pay the sacrifices we're willing to make to keep the fire burning, to keep the bond strong.
Well, Kevin, that's fantastic, and I think this is a great episode to come back on. I don't know if I think that's basically we're out of time at this point. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we'll be continuing to talk about how to, like going even deeper into what does love here mean.
yes, absolutely. In the next couple episodes.
Great.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much, Kevin. We'll be back next week.
Thank you, Sharif.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and you're looking for more in-depth guidance, check out OptimalWork.com, our unique platform that delivers content, tools, and exercises to help you thrive at work and beyond.